Hi guys, Dave here. I want to remind you in the middle of these election times, in the middle of all the unrest, in the middle of COVID, that God is the God that will protect you, He will provide for you, and position you exactly where He wants you. Elijah is the great story of this. You see this in 1 Kings chapter 16 through chapter 20, where you see this great prophet that God brought and said, go and speak to this awful king named Ahab, who was the king of the northern kingdom of Israel, and tell him that stop following this Baal worship stuff. Stop following this false god that's supposedly in charge of nature. And God's saying, you know, I'm in charge of nature. And I want you to tell Ahab that I am going to make a drought until he finds out and sees who's actually in charge. Well, as the story goes, Elijah goes and tells Ahab, and then the drought begins. Now, I'm sure Elijah's going, well, how am I going to have my needs met? God sends him to a brook where there's water in the middle of this drought, and he also sends ravens to him, which is the freaky thing, ravens to him to feed him with both bread and meat, it says. Now, over time, the drought then, the brook dries up, and God sends him to this woman's house, this widow, where this widow has a son, and she has barely anything left, barely any water, any oil, any flour. And Elijah says, please, please make something for me. And she says, if we do this, we're not going to have anything left. We're all going to die anyway. He said, well, then go do that because I know God will provide. And that's exactly what happened. When she made that out of faith, God didn't let her supplies run dry at all. She had all the water she needed, she had all the oil she needed, and all the flour she needed. And it's another miracle. Well, right after that miracle, they have a low point because the woman's son just dies. Isn't it amazing? We have these high, wonderful times and then a low. So she's down, and God says, hey, wait a second. Our God is a God who can heal. And he said, I believe that God will bring life back to your son. And that's exactly what happened. God told Elijah what to do. Elijah went over there. He did it. And behold, the young man raises up and he's living again. Our awesome God. Right after that, we now see the confrontation between Elijah and all the Baal worship priests. There was like hundreds of them. And so they have this competition. They basically say, we're going to find out who the real God is, and whoever loses dies, basically. So they both make altars, and on both altars they say, our God will ignite this altar. So the Baal worshipers are dancing around their altar they made, and nothing takes place. As a matter of fact, Elijah looks and goes, hey man, I think your God's sitting on the toilet right now. Actually said that. And what's wild is that nothing happened. So on the other side, Elijah starts praying, and the minute he does that, God ignites not only the wood on the altar, but the stones themselves. Everybody's shocked. The Baal worship priests die, are killed off. It's a great time. But here's the interesting part. Right after that great time, Elijah is really depressed. Matter of fact, in chapter 19, verse 4, he says, it's enough now, O Lord. Take away my life, for I'm no better than my fathers. He's just going, I'm down. I feel like I'm the only one left. I'm the only one there. This is what I want you to remind yourself when you get into those dark times, even when it seems like victories are taking place. It's really easy to do during this COVID election time and all that stuff. First thing is take an inventory of your life. Look at the good things that are going on and the not so good things. What's causing positive things in your life, what's causing negative. Then after you do that, remove the negative, right? Remove the negative stuff in your life and fill it with the positive things in your life, which would be God himself and the things of God. And then third, go back to your core of who God is. He is the provider. He is the protector. He is the one that positions you exactly where he wants you. He is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, infinite, transcendent, a gracious, merciful, forgiving God. Remind yourself of who he is. And when you do that, you will be encouraged and lifted up even during these difficult times of COVID, of elections, of civil unrest. You will be able to lean on your Lord. Guys, have a great day. Take it easy.